there was one belief that I always used to hold dear to my heart, that I always used to believe in, on the same level as if you stop breathing, you will literally die because your cells will not be able to communicate. It was that I would never be good at listenings when it comes to my mother tongue, which is Slovakian language. Now, when it comes to my Slovakian language, we have two parts in Slovakia that we learn about it from. We have, it's basically split into two categories. We have the main language, so there's like the theory, the grammar, and yeah, stuff like that, like how to write perfectly in Slovakian and all the theory around it. And then we have the literature side of it, like the famous poems and stuff like that, you understand. And when it comes to grammar tests, we have this one really set in stone test that all Slovakians are deeply afraid of. We call it the listening. Basically, the teacher just sits down, she grabs some kind of a text, and she reads it out to all of us. And let me tell you, normally this wouldn't be such a big of a deal if they didn't, if the teachers didn't traumatize us when we were like 6 years old, when we barely entered primary school. And so, yeah, everyone thinks in Slovakia that the grammar in our country is very hard, but that only comes from limiting beliefs that the fat, lazy teachers who weren't loved, who weren't cherished, who were stuck in their positions, just basically put on us all the time. And yeah, that led to completely the complete destruction of love when it comes to our mother tongue in Slovakia, and especially in the and especially with young people like us. Like, bro, there are t-shirts out there with the guy who basically invented our mother tongue, basically misspelling the words on purpose. And I know that it is done like this, like all around the world in every single country, but in our country it is mainly profound. And let me tell you, one of the one of the biggest supporters of this agenda was me. I believed that I would never be able to be good at Slovakian grammar. This was a truth that I used to hold until I was like 17 years old, I believe. Yeah, even when I was on self mastery and I was improving my discipline, my motivation, my productivity, my resilience, my willpower, and all of these awesome skills, I just still couldn't do it. No matter how hard I tried, I just wasn't able to do it because I had enough physical evidence to back it up. For the past, like, 11 years of my life, I have been constantly failing them. I was getting C's, D's, and F's from them all the time. Basically, the ranking system went like this. So if you had 0 to 1 mistake, you had A. If you had 1 to 3 mistakes, I believe, yeah, you basically had B. Uh, Anything between a 4 and like 7 mistakes, you had a C. From 7, from 8 to 10 mistakes, I believe you had a D. And from 10 mistakes onwards, you had an F. And let me tell you, ever since I was like 8 years old, it all went downhill. I went from having A's and B's on my listenings to having C's, D's, and later only F's most of the time. Sure, I still got a B once in a blue moon, but that was truly like a huge occasion that I cherished the most. And that is exactly the reason why I repelled it so much, but that's a topic for another video. But yeah, this was a belief that I used to always prioritize in my mind way too much. And even my mom used to tell me, look, TR, I know that you're not that good at listenings, and I know that you cannot really do them, but just please go and study for your tests. They are the only things that are saving you. And I used to implant that belief inside of my mind because I deeply trusted it. But then, guess what? In January of 2025, so probably like a couple of months ago, I was I was learning about this new manifestation technique, and let me tell you, it was truly gonna work. And also, I combined it with some of the self mastery knowledge that I've learned from the self improvement side of YouTube. So I knew that this was gonna help me. I knew that I was gonna succeed. And at listenings from this day onwards. Now, of course, I wasn't gonna make like a huge jump all the way from Fs to As, like just like that over the course of one listening, but it was truly gonna be something. I wanted to get a C, and I already told this story on the channel before, like a month ago, I believe. Yeah. And so basically, I was just sitting in my class, right? And suddenly the teacher came in and she was like, "It's 1 year until we have the last meeting when it comes to your uh midterm how's it called? Basically, yeah, your postcard where you get like your final grades for midterm. Yeah, it was basically like a week before we were supposed to get them, and they had like the last meeting where they would discuss the grades, like 3 days from the day where we wrote that listening. And she came in and she was like, "We need to write the last listening right now." And I was like, "Bro, right now?" And guess what? I did not overreact. Of course, that was just my initial reaction, but those disappear after some time. And so I just told myself, "Don't worry, everything will be fine. I will get an IC, and I will be able to prosper. I can do it. I know I can have it because I've already done this many times before. I have pulled it off so many times before that of course, I just have it inside of me. I can do it." And so, as we are finally writing it, I literally started noticing mistakes that I would have otherwise made if I was under stress. I had a clear mind of what I actually wanted. I had a clear and sharp mind that spotted any kind of mistake the second that I made it. But still, I made like 4 mistakes. And so I still got the C that I was looking for. And then, guess what? Of course, everyone was proud of me, even the teacher herself. She even commented something like, "But this was a listening that was like 2 levels beneath your level." And I was like, "And? I'm still proud of it." And she just smiled at me. Of course, she was just taunting me or whatever. And yeah, you must remember that you make the laws of your reality, meaning that there are no truths in reality other than what your subconscious mind accepts as true. Meaning that every single truth that you hold inside of your subconscious mind is just an idea that holds the mask of a truth. And over time, as you accept these kinds of ideas and you put so much emotional conviction into them, they literally become these kinds of entities that live on the spiritual realm. Spiritual doesn't mean like, yeah, I go to church, I pray every single Sunday or something like that. No, spiritual just refers to the unseen, meaning that there's an unseen entity. It is basically like pure energy. And let me tell you, it just wants to harness that energy from you as much as physically possible, meaning that it will get people, it will get your surroundings, it will create timings that are perfect to get you mad and to get you to overreact because it feeds off of your negative energy. But don't get this twisted. It has nothing. It has truly just nothing against you. The only reason why it is doing this is because it wants to survive. It sees you getting better. Yeah, it sees you getting and finally grabbing that notebook for the first time in a long while because you actually want to ace that test perfectly. But guess what? That means that if you finally start acing those tests, that it will cease to exist and it is getting afraid and it puts that fear onto you. And then you fuck up on those exams, you go back into the negative feedback loops of, "I see, everyone was right. I would never be able to do this." And then you just go back into self loathing, into indulging in the same old bad habits, just so that entity can keep on surviving. You have to remember this law. Where someone suffers, someone always benefits. And until you cannot stop benefiting, and, and until you cannot give yourself that feeling of succeeding internally, you won't be able to succeed in the physical realm. You basically must remember that that entity is always after you, and it will get people, timings, and even your surroundings itself to go against you. that situation right there. I had no idea that we were gonna write that listening on that same day, but it just happened. And guess what? The entire situation was like a perfect trap for me to overreact. But guess what? I didn't. Because I am a timeless reader on self mastery who doesn't succumb to any pressure whatsoever, who is a stoic, resilient, disciplined, and willpowered, and very productive brother. I cannot get defeated by any kind of pressure, and even if I don't see the physical results that I'm looking for, I still succeed because no matter what, I always retain my mental attitude that I have about myself. Meaning that you need to completely change the mental attitude that you have about the results that you get. Meaning that if I failed that listening and I got an F, I would have still retained being in that reality where I got a C. I would have retained the beliefs, the emotionally charged conviction, the attention, the identity, the thoughts, the emotions that I would have if I was in that reality where I got a C instead of an F. I would have retained that mental attitude because I knew that if I wasn't gonna get it this time, I would get it next time. And it was gonna happen. Just no matter what. I completely know that it was gonna happen. And it just happened, literally on the first try. So that's literally what you must do. You must completely change your mental attitude. You must completely remove these self-limiting beliefs from your mind. And you must learning. And you must adopt new ones that serve you and that don't control you. Beliefs are like fire. They are great servants, but yeah, very unpleasant bosses. Meaning that if you let them take over you, and if you let them stack over the course of years and years and years, if you concentrate so much energy on them, that energy will gain life. And it will haunt you for the rest of your life if you don't do something about it. That's why you need to use discipline for the first couple of months on self mastery, on self improvement, if you wish, because it is just that hard to break free from that entity which has been holding you back for so long. And keep in mind, you created this fucking entity, so it is your job to get over it. You're fat? Good. You need to fight that entity first because it will use people, surroundings, your money, your time to get you back into eating fucking McDonald's. It is nothing but your fault. So why should I feel bad about you, bro? That's literally just how it is. And until you don't change that mental attitude, until you don't start creating this new, pleasant entity that feeds off of your positive emotions, you won't be able to destroy this old entity. But keep in mind, it has nothing against you. It is doing this because it wants to survive. So of course, you can still use it as a source of motivation, but just keep in mind that that energy is completely impersonal. The only thing that it wants is just to survive and for you to keep your attention onto it because where attention attention goes, energy flows. And always remember that. That applies to any kind of emotion that you feel towards anything. Any kind of emotion that you feel always feels sorry, always fuels some kind of a desire, some kind of a belief, some kind of an identity, some kind of an emotion, some kind of an some kind of a thought, some kind of a belief. And all of these, when you combine them, create a mental attitude or a frequency, if you will. And this frequency of all of these convictions will eventually bring you a desired reality. It's like a product code that you put into like Amazon warehouse or something like that. And the universe just sends you a package, which is your reality. Meaning that every single thought, every single belief, every single emotional conviction, and all of these things, they always bring you a reality if you just bring enough attention onto them. And that's exactly what I used to do for 11 years of my life. I used to always deliver myself the bad result from the listenings. And I never realized just how truly destructive this bad habit was. But now I realized it, and I'm fighting that entity head onwards. And I'm confident that I can overcome it in like the next couple of years, because keep in mind, this entity was with me during the lowest of lows, meaning that it has seen and it has been consuming my negative energy for a long time now, meaning that yeah, it will take a long time to overcome it. But maybe that's just a self-limiting belief that I have about myself. So yeah, that's the mental part of how you do this. Now let's move on to the physical part. Now, when it comes to people who give you this self-limiting belief in the first place, which is your family, your surroundings, your friends, what you always must do is that you should never convince them of the new mental attitude that you have. You should never, ever talk to them before you get the physical confirmation that that reality has actually arrived. It has arrived mentally, don't get me wrong. That's why it's coming to you, like that package that we talked about. But until it physically arrives to you, you must just say something like, uh, or let's say that they somehow overhear you talking about how confident you are, that you're gonna get good grades from your listenings now on, and they come to taunt you like your teacher starts taunting you. Oh yeah, TR, but you haven't been getting, uh, but but you haven't received an A on your listenings in the past like 8 years of your life. How are you supposed to get it? Do you have like some kind of a magic wand or something like that? The way that you respond to them is by just saying something like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's true." Just agree with them because we don't want these kinds of people around you. They will just sap you out of your energy, and it is basically like that entity when you think about it. It is just that entity influencing their ego to act a certain way so that so that the entity can harness that energy. Because if you just try to argue with those people, oh boy, a whole fucking ride will follow that you will never be able to escape. It's better to just say, it's better to just agree with their ego and let time pass by. So yeah, this is how you overcome this. And yeah, it is way easier than you think. Just adopt a new mental attitude, and until the physical results don't come, just agree with those people that have been putting those self-limiting beliefs on you. It is way easier this way, and the results will come way faster than you can ever imagine. If you want to learn about healthy mindsets that will guarantee success in the long term and in the short term by mending your mental health and bring you on the right path, no matter what, no matter the life test, no matter the goal, then I highly suggest that you go check out Timeless Reader's Mindsets in the description. It is truly something life changing, and you would be an absolute fool to miss out, especially with the discount that is happening over there right now. I finally remembered what I wanted to say. The midterm report card. Yeah, that was what I wanted to say. So yeah, with this mindset, you can truly separate yourself from the 99% of people, and you can start living today. So just change that mental attitude. Give yourself give yourself the feeling of getting that end result that you're looking for, and sooner or later, it will come your way, just like that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and remember, no one is better at being you